Okay, welcome to your United States history test. This is Mr. Carroll. I'm going to walk you through for anyone who wants to hear the test read to them. This is 25 multiple choice questions. Feel free to pause, rewind, and scroll through at your own leisure. Okay, let's make this a little bigger. Number one, I challenge the warmest advocate or supporter for reconciliation to shew or show a single advantage that this continent can reap or gain by being connected with Great Britain. I repeat the challenge. Not a single advantage is acquired. Our corn will fetch its price in any market in Europe, and our imported goods must be paid for. Buy them where we will. Okay, this is from Thomas Paine in his pamphlet called Common Sense, 1776. This speaker is most likely opposed to A. Mercantilism, B. Capitalism, or C. Direct democracy, or D. Representative government. Okay, what is he opposed to? Question number two. Okay, be sure to answer the question on the timeline below. On your knowledge of social studies, it looks like some British actions from 1750 to 1780. Okay, and along with colonial reactions on the bottom. Which conclusion is best supported by the information on the timeline? A. Britain eventually granted the colonies representation in Parliament. B. Only elected British officials had the right to levy or raise taxes. C. Britain's efforts to increase control over the colonies were not successful. Or D. Creation of the First Continental Congress was an immediate reaction right away to the passage of the Stamp Act. Okay, please select A, B, C, or D. Okay, question three. Base your answer to this on the passage below and your knowledge of social studies. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government. The purpose of the statement was to A. Urge support for the Albany Plan of Union. B. Provide justification for declaring independence. C. Criticize the Articles of Confederation. Okay, I eliminated D, so do not pick T. That is not a choice. We're just looking for the purpose of Thomas Jefferson's statement in that paragraph. Okay, question number four. We have four speakers here. The question is asking which speaker is expressing an idea that was included in the Great Compromise during the drafting of the Constitution in 1787. Okay, so the speaker A saying our government should be strong and state government should be limited. Is the speaker B talking about a bicameral or two-house legislature would protect the power of both large and small states? Or is the speaker C the expansion of the national government will lead to tyranny? Question five, another one of the speakers here. Okay, this one asks, how was the concern of Speaker A resolved? So Speaker A said, as it stands now, the Constitution does not protect civil liberties. Did this lead to B, establishment of the House of Representatives, C, creation of the federal court system, or D, addition of the Bill of Rights? Okay, I eliminated choice A for that question. Question number six. Okay, this is President George Washington's farewell address in 1796. Washington was offering this advice because he believed A, the destiny of the United States was to rule other countries. B, the United States should seek alliances with other nations. Or C, alliances could draw the U.S. into wars. Okay, so why does he give advice, especially in that first sentence where it says it is our true policy to steer clear of permanent alliances with any portion of the foreign world? Okay, question number seven, a little map question here. The Louisiana Purchase was important to the U.S. because it A, expanded the nation's boundary to the Pacific Ocean. B, removed the Spanish from North America. C. Closed the Western territories to slavery. Or D. Secured control of the Mississippi River. So look at the map, look at where the Louisiana Purchase is, okay, and look at which one of those choices is the best one. Okay, question number 8. Got some headlines here about President Andrew Jackson replacing many government workers, vetoing the bank charter, and refusing to enforce Worcester versus Georgia. Which conclusion about Jackson is most consistent with these headlines? A. He allowed Congress to decide controversial issues. B. He expanded presidential powers. C. He demonstrated weaknesses in dealing with domestic issues. Okay, and I eliminated choice D for that one. Question 9, $100 reward. We got a runaway from the subscriber on the 27th of July. He calls it My Black Woman Named Emily. Okay, and you get a description there. In August of 1853. Prior or before the Civil War, abolitionists reacted to this situation as described in the poster by. So what would abolitionists do? Would they be supporting the Underground Railroad, opposing the Emancipation Proclamation, or banning freed slaves from northern states? Think about the term abolitionist and what they would do. Okay, number 10. Missouri Compromise allows 2 new states. Congress agrees to the Compromise of 1850. Popular sovereignty adopted under Kansas-Nebraska Act. Which issue is reflected in these headlines? Is this A, status of slavery in the territories and states? B, growth of agriculture or farming on the plains? C, clash of federal and state powers? Or D, conflicts with foreign nations over the West? All right, number 11, another map question. What is the most accurate title for this map? Would this be A, closing the frontier, B, results of Reconstruction, C, a nation divided, or D, Compromise of 1850? Okay, so look at the map, look at the key to the map, and maybe some of the dates on there or events, and explain what would be the best title. Question number 12. We have the resources of the North and South and the production of the North and South, some pie charts. The data shown in the graphs best support the conclusion that the North, A, was better prepared economically to fight the Civil War, B, lagged behind the South in bank deposits, C, produced more agricultural or farming products, or D, lacked several important resources. Okay, which conclusion can you make about the North according to the charts? All right. Number 13. It says 2 colored men. We have freedom, protection, pay, and a call to military duty. Which government action most directly prompted the publication of this poster? Is this the Emancipation Proclamation, Kansas-Nebraska Act, Wilmot Proviso, or the adoption of the Missouri Compromise? Okay, it says freedom and a call to duty to colored men. All right, question number 14 is the 14th Amendment. One conclusion can be drawn from the text of the 14th Amendment is A, states have the right to construct laws that meet the needs of their own citizenry. B, the federal government has set the guidelines for the protection of all citizens. I eliminated C, so you cannot pick it. And last choice, D, only the federal government may pass laws about property. Okay, question number 15. The principal message of the cartoon is that the Standard Oil Company, A, used its size to lower the price of its product. B, protected the nation from foreign competition. C, used its economic power to influence government decisions. Or D, employed violence to gain an unfair advantage. Okay, let me try and fix my picture here. It's getting a little big. Okay. All right. Question number 16. Okay, it says a nauseating job, but it must be done. A little investigation and meat scandal. Question, which book was responsible for prompting the investigation illustrated in this cartoon? Octopus by Frank Norris, Jungle by Upton Sinclair, Shameless Cities by Lincoln Steffens, or How the Other Half Lives by Jacob Riis. Question 17 is the poem I, Too, Sing America by Langston Hughes in 1926. This poem was a literary contribution from the A. Abolitionist movement, B. Progressive era, C. Prohibition movement, or D. Harlem Renaissance. Number 18. Title is Yes, You Remembered Me. Okay, it's called The Forgotten Man. It's got some working clothes on, and then shaking the hand of FDR. What's the main idea of this political cartoon from the 1930s? Is that FDR continued laissez-faire policies, supported business over labor, favored government ownership of industries, or extended help to those in need. Question number 19. We got members of the Mochita family await an evacuation bus in California, 1942. This photograph taken during World War II shows the A. Deportation of Japanese Americans to Japan, B. Arrival of new Japanese immigrants in California, C. Migration of Japanese American families to the East Coast, or D. Relocation of Japanese Americans to internment camps. Okay, question 20. It's a tradition with us, mister. This World War II poster recognizes return of women to the workforce after the war, contributions of women to wartime defense, role of women as military officers, or legal equality of women. Okay, question number 21. Title is Where to? Question mark. Okay, you got U.S. or Uncle Sam up top, giving aid to Greece and Turkey as a new American foreign policy. Okay, which policy is being referred to in this cartoon? Is this the Neutrality Act, Atlantic Charter, Truman Doctrine, or Manhattan Project? Question number 22. It's an excerpt from Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail in 1963. What approach best represents the argument made in that passage? A. Civil disobedience, B. Armed resistance, C. Black power, or D. Containment. Number 23. Okay. We have a statement from President John F. Kennedy, October 1962. He says, but this secret, swift, and extraordinary buildup of communist missiles, okay, is in an area well known to have a special historical relation to the U.S. and the nations of the Western Hemisphere. Okay, so he's talking about communist missiles. Is this closely associated with the A, Bay of Pigs invasion, B, Cuban Missile Crisis, C, United States-Soviet space race, or D, nuclear test ban controversy? Okay, look through and think about where he's talking about the missiles. 24. Base your answer to the question on the chart below. We have some Great Society legislation. Okay, if you did your review sheet with us, we did this one together. The legislation identified in this chart was an effort to solve problems related to A, illegal immigration and terrorism, B, poverty and discrimination, C, illiteracy and domestic abuse, or D, budget deficits and famine. Last question, Ronald Reagan, 1987. We also did this one together. Okay, this is when he said, come here to this gate, Mr. Gorbachev. Open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. President Reagan was calling for the end of the nuclear arms race, Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, division of Berlin, Germany, or those are the three choices. Okay? Take your pick. Like I said, you can hit rewind, pause, scroll back, and go back to any other question if you wish. Okay? Other than that, I hope you enjoy taking your last test in United States history. Okay? Enjoy the rest of the year and have an amazing summer.